This is the network service of the NTA.
Nigeria has had a long list of leaders since it was created and declared a nation. Although the area came under British control in 1861 and was made a colony in 1914, Nigeria gained its independence in 1960 and became a republic in 1963. From the colonial days to military regime and now civilian rule, many Nigerians say the seat of power has played host to the good, the bad, and the ugly. Interestingly, two leaders stand out in their dexterity for navigating through the dictatorial style of military rule to negotiation processes associated with democratic government. Our focus rests on the immediate past president of Nigeria, who served both as a military head of state and a civilian leader of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Join us as we have a conversation with history with former President Muhammadu Buhari on his stewardship and life after retirement to Daura in Katsina State.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Lady and gentlemen.
It's a pleasure to meet you,
Please
sir.
sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, you look so fresh, almost like you went on a vacation and you're back looking all good. How does it feel to be out of that office after 8 years?
Well, I looked for it, and I was lucky I got it. I came back to my birthplace. I go to the farm. I have exercise. I go around the farm. I see the animals. I see my stores. There is a big market on the border. And, you know, the donkeys, the cattle, and the camels don't respect border. They can make their way. So this closing of border doesn't make much sense, really. So I have programmed myself so nicely, and I wake up when I like, and I come out when I like.
So what do you miss the most about being in office?
Miss? Oh dear me. I don't think I miss much.
But there must be something you miss.
Well, I don't know. People have their opinions. But I thank God. God gave me the opportunity to serve my people and the country. And I did my best. Whether my best is good enough is up to people to judge.
For 3 times, you strived, you know, to get into this office. And 3 times, for some reason, you didn't get in. And by stroke of luck or destiny, you came in during the 2015 elections. Of course, for somebody to try 3 times, there's something you set out to achieve. Would you say you achieved it in these 8 years that you were in office?
Well, not quite, but I would like Nigerians to reflect. What was the condition in the country before we came in? Especially in the Northeast. Most of the Northeast in the hands of what they call Bokohari, whatever it means to whoever wants to interpret it the way they wanted to interpret it. And the economy, so security, economy, and then fighting corruption. This was the objective I set myself and the government I led. And I hope Nigerians have been following it and saw the difference. I know the government I led was lucky, and the country was lucky to get the governor. The governor of, still the governor of Borno State, are very intellectually sound. He is young. He is virtually incorruptible. Because it was fantastic. I think here I have to mention something to share with Nigerians. What happened? The civil servants, the old civil servants, they have got a way of trying to get information, not through the normal way, but they will get some of the lowest people they trust, and the one they trust most, they will give him a telephone. And they will brief them to tell them when there is something serious that didn't come to them in writing. And the funny thing about it, one of the permanent secretaries, he was on his bed at 7 o'clock, stretching. Then the telephone called. So he took it. He said, yes, what is it? He said, the governor is in your office. He fell from his bed. Now, that was the type of person that we were lucky. When I say we, I mean Nigerians, we were lucky to be in charge of Northeast, where Boko Haram used to be in charge. And you know, Boko Haram were as far away as virtually Lagos. They were in Kaduna, they were in Abuja, blowing places, you know, buildings, and causing a lot of havoc. But that man has straightened that area.
So in essence, what you're saying is you set out to achieve some goals and you achieve them in office.
Number one, security. Because if there are no security, you cannot achieve anything. Number two, the economy, employment. Now, because of the security we have succeeded, I think Nigerians developed confidence into their country, and they invest more. And people from outside came and invested.
Moving forward, how would you adjudge Nigeria's diplomatic ties with other countries of the world? What would you say were your footprint in that regard?
Unfortunately, I am so preoccupied with the local problems that I hardly think about the external problems. I think this is natural, especially for developing countries' leadership. They are more concerned with their local problems than what is happening outside, except, say, like closing the border. As I told you, our border from Lake Chad to Benin Republic is more than 1,600 kilometers. And with the type of terrain, only God can effectively supervise this border. So virtually the government is wasting its time. You know? I told you, the donkeys, the cows, and the camels, you cannot close the border for them. And this 1,600 kilometers, virtually they choose where to go.
You served as a military head of state and then as a civilian. And of course, there must be some difference, you know, between these two style of governance. Which aspect was most difficult for you to, you know, adjust to, coming from the military background?
Well, when you say in military, you are right. We are a developing nation, and we are going through the system. And I was much younger, and a bit more ruthless. Well, having moved a democratic, civilized regime and come back and brought a military to be in charge, I hope Nigerian intellectuals will be fair to us in the military then and to the country, and make a research and show the difference. As I said, the first thing is security. If you don't secure institutions or a country, you cannot run them properly. So the military, we came in because, as I could recall and led it, we were not satisfied with the accountability of those responsible for accounting the resources and the security of the country to Nigerians. That was why we interfered. We were not satisfied. There was no way you can improve a developing country like Nigeria without being very accountable, in the sense that you have to build institutions to employ people. You can't have such an aggressive, heavy population like Nigeria and think you will sit and enjoy yourself like the rest of developing countries. You can't. This was my personal experience. Leading Nigeria is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. People know they are right. They think that they should be there, not you. At virtually every step. And we have to struggle day and night, you know, to see that you are competent enough. I don't think I ever took Nigerians for granted.
And so which was your most challenging moment? I mean, you know, we're looking at civilian military rule.
Securing the country. As I told you, you go and please try and interview the governor of Borno State. How many local governments were in the hand of Nigerians? Most of the local governments were in the hand of Boko Haram. They were doing what they liked. So the first thing is to secure the state or the country and earn the confidence of Nigerians.
Perhaps I should ask this question very differently. Now, what I meant is, in the military rule, you just make a decree and it's law. But in the civilian rule, you have to go through different, you know, cadres. You're talking about the National Assembly.
I see.
You're looking at, you know, the judiciary. So there were so many bottlenecks that probably you would have faced. So I'm asking you, in that regard, what were your most challenging moments? You know, adjusting from that Decree 1, Decree 2 to going through the National Assembly for any law to be passed or policy to be implemented.
The good thing about the democratic system is that they represent states. You can, no matter how clever the leadership is, they cannot convince the ruled, these people, unless they secure the environment, secure the country.
Okay, so adjudge the National Assembly in the 8 years that you were there.
Yes, the National Assembly, their first priority, because Nigerians want you know, to do their businesses, you know, to feel secure. Everybody is human. Everybody wants to feel secure. That there are schools for the children. The schools were good enough. You know. So the biggest problem, I believe, the people of the both
National Assembly,
national and state assembly, is to convince their constituencies that they are passing their message to the center that number one thing is secure the country, secure the constituency. No amount of politicking or dexterity in talking and so on, that you convince people if you can't secure the environment. You are wasting your time.
Okay, so we move away from the National Assembly because it just seemed I really wanted you to describe your relationship with the executive and the National Assembly within that time frame. But
I tell you, I'm not being too difficult on politicians, but I hardly bother because I know the problem their constituency firstly is security.
Okay, so we move away from that now and go into this PNID case. it will seem Nigerians have not quite realized what you did as a sitting president there to take us away from what we escaped. And the question would be, I mean, we've just been saved $11 billion. That's no walk in the park. That's no money for ice cream. But in your own wisdom, against all odds, you declined, you refused, you vehemently refused to play games with those who were, proposing that you negotiate and pay off the PNID agents. What was the reason for that resolution not to negotiate with these people?
We thank God that the developed countries, especially the UK, have strengthened their confidence in us by being fair. The judgment. I want to have a clear conscience that the people I lead, I must lead them honestly. Force the weak, guard the weak against the strong, and the strong against the weak. And this is really terrible because Nigerians or human beings, they like to impress, to show that the group they identify themselves within a society was in charge, especially for security and materialism. Those are fundamental, security and materialism. I have been living now in peace for about 6 months. I tell you, I have forgotten how many years since I built this house. When I was head of state, I didn't build anything. I didn't acquire any company. I didn't do anything. So I didn't compete with Nigerians having been in power to have companies and favor those companies, or give myself large and big land areas, plots in Abuja, and give it to favored people. That's why I'm living in peace. Because Nigeria have got their own way of knowing, and I think they will wait for the day to harass and take it on all those who they think have cheated them. Accountability. Nigerians are damn clever. They will, I think, encourage you to make one mistake and then they will do 100. You will be tied up. You cannot explain because you are a hostage. They like holding their leadership as hostages. This is my idea. This was why I think I was over careful. I made sure that you wouldn't say, Oga, you have got an account in Saudi Arabia, or you have got an account in Switzerland, you have got an account. From there, you have to obey him instead of him obeying you.
Were there times when you felt like they were going to, ambush you in that way?
Well, the problem I explained to myself is that I asked for it. As you mentioned earlier, I attempted 3 times, 2003, 2007, 2011. And when I attempted to explain to a group that took interest and were following me, after ending up in Supreme Court the 3rd time, I was expecting sympathy, and the crowd I was addressing laughed at me. I said, God day. And God sent technology, permanent voters card. Before, fraudulent Nigerians will come and say, I will bring you 50,000 votes. How much would you give me? Now, God sent PVC, technology, permanent voters card. He could only lie about his own vote, 1 vote. So you don't even need him.
In your own opinion, what did you think clinched it for you in 2015? I mean, we're looking at politics now. You brought the conversation to that point. What do you think worked for you in 2015? I mean, after 3 tries.
After
3 tries.
3 tries, yes. I feel to God for the injustices that I went through in 2003, 2007, 2011. And when I came to make my case to you, the press, the rest of Nigerians, instead of expecting sympathy, people laughed at me because I didn't have money, because I couldn't buy influence in any form, either from the so-called influential people or from anybody else. People laughed at me. I said, God there. And God sent technology. As I said, permanent voter's card. You can only lie about your own one vote. Even your family, you cannot be sure because they have the security to go and vote. It's only God that can judge them. Nobody knows whom they vote for.
In 2011, you broke down, literally. I mean, it was reported that you broke down when you didn't... You're laughing. Can you tell us what was the range of emotions that was playing in your mind at that time?
I had nobody to blame but myself. I made up my mind to continue trying. People laughed at me because here is a stupid poor man who wanted to lead Nigeria. He has no money to give us. This was the attitude of the people. And I think patriotism, especially in the profession I broke myself in from leaving secondary school, the military, it was fantastic. I tried as much as possible to be fair wherever I found myself. It hadn't been easy because Nigerians seem to be impressed more by materialistic success rather than being honored or praised by the less privileged. We are a fantastic nation. I don't know how many of us there are in the world.
Okay, so we go into 2023 elections. I mean, that is one sport some Nigerians are still stuck in. And so much happened during that period, which of course was predicated on the Naira policy. And some would ask, I mean, election period is tumultuous on its own, and then bringing the Naira policy into the works would further make it more tumultuous. So people would like to know why that Naira policy came at that period of the 2023 elections.
Well, I think mainly it's stage of development of a nation. Whether Nigerians believe it or not, we are an underdeveloped country. And we get so impressed by materialism. Sometimes ruthlessly, they didn't care how you make the money. But the best thing is that you should be rich. You should have a fantastic house. You should have cars, flashy cars. You should be going overseas regularly and resting or doing what. But it's not easy to earn, to save enough, to spend so much on leisure trips and so on. But Nigerians, I don't know. I still feel that the only way I could impress and tried so hard to do it in Nigeria is just to make sure that my integrity become unquestionable. It hasn't been easy. There are some people who deliberately come close to you to benefit materially. And if they find out that you don't accept the system, they dump you, so-called, and they take it their own way. I think as a developing country, we still have a long way to go.
So for the 2023 election and the Naira policy, what exactly was the motivation for it? Because it was really timely.
The motivation is to try and make Nigerians believe that there is no shortcut to successful leadership, in the sense that service, it's not easy, as I said, losing, say, 3 elections, attempting president and ending up in the high Supreme Court 3 times. How many people, a lot of Nigerians would say that is very stupid. They would rather have the quickest and fastest way of getting there. And the only way you can do it is to try to accumulate some money, to have a lot of money, and see how you can compromise so many people and maybe institutions and get to where I wanted to get. But I think patriotism, if you sympathize with your own people, or with, when I say your own people, ordinary Nigerians, how they struggle to maintain their household, how they maintain to keep their children in schools, the ones they have, to make sure they don't suffer as much as he did or she did. Those who are sensible enough realize it's not easy, and it's a difficult way of doing things. Do they have the courage to take the difficult way of doing things and make sure that they bring up their children well by suffering themselves and make sure that their children get good education?
And you know, during that period, we had about 3 governors who even took you to court over this whole Naira policy thing. Did it come to you as a shock that your party members were turning against you during that period?
No, I was not shocked, because I think I am a practical Nigerian. I like to be remembered as a person of conscience. I try to work hard right from school. I refused to work in the local authority. I ran away. I joined the military. And those who want comfort, virtually in all definitions, then wouldn't join the military. Because one trouble is gathering momentum. Sensible people understand, and they try to get away from the scene. To go into the military is virtually crazy, and I choose to do the crazy thing.
So have you experienced 2007, 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, and you're also part of 2023. What electoral reforms would you like to see happen to give our electoral process some level of integrity and credibility?
Here, as I said, God sent technology. Technology, as I said, is God sent. Because people are damn clever by half. virtual natural, they want to defeat intellectually their opposition, to be too clever for them to understand how they are going to succeed and how to make the opposition fail, or those who offer to fail. So I think technology came to help, because when people were talking of ethnicity and religion, I gave them the example: 2003, 2007, 2011. The whole Chief Justices are Muslim Northerners. Yet I lost all the elections legally, because I went to the top, up to the Supreme Court. I think the one in 2003 was from Zaria, a House of Fulani men like me. The second one was from Niger State, a Muslim again from the north. The third one from our neighbor Jigawa here, and the Fulani men like me. I all lost. So when people were talking glibly about religion and ethnicity in Nigeria, I just looked at them. Go and try hard enough.
Like you did?
Well, I didn't say so.
So what would you like to see happen in the electoral reforms?
Well, electoral reforms, as I said, you can make it as intellectual as possible. But what really is on the ground is what people need.
Okay, so you, in your statement, one of your earlier statements when you came in, you said you are for nobody and you are for everybody. Would you say that statement, would you say that statement had effect in your government within this time frame of 8 years?
I think for those who wanted to cross-examine me, like you, they should look at the situation in the country. As I said, our case should be fairly judged by our performance or lack of it. And this performance, as I said, is security, prosperity. The ones which I am not too much heavy about is fighting corruption. Those are the three things I made Nigerians clear that I come out to fight. Of course, there are people who think that maybe they will say that was why I broke down. They think that who am I to say that I can secure Nigeria, bring prosperity, and stop people taking gifts and so on. I have tried, and I think we succeeded.
You just mentioned the three cardinals, which is, of course, security, and you talked about the economy and this corruption. You were very pointed about it when you came on to say, come, by the time you bring me on, I will fight corruption. I will do this, I will do that. Would you say you achieved that? Would you say your government achieved much in fighting this endemic problem called corruption?
I think I did, in the sense that making people much more aware about it and making them intolerable of it. Before, I think leadership at various levels can do things that are dishonest or dishonorable and get away with it. But it has become eventually impossible for anybody from top to bottom to misbehave and think they would get out of it. People just wouldn't tolerate it. So I think for that, that is a major success. My 8 years as president, I planned it because I went through the experience. I was a governor. I was a minister of petroleum. I was a head of state. My qualifications are fantastic. I was in detention for 3.25 years. So tell me what I haven't been through. I learned a lot, and I decided for those 8 years God gave me to again reflect very seriously and quietly in my own time to behave myself. For those 8 years, nobody can say I built a house. Nobody can say I invested in any company. Nobody can prove a case against me. So I'm now happily sitting here in my village.
And you know, some people, most Nigerians see you as somebody who is actually very honest as an individual. But for some reason, they believe that you were surrounded by people who were corrupt.
Well, what have they done in their own role to fight corruption as Nigerians? That is their own problem. It's not my problem. I think we have finished me enough.
Okay. In those 8 years that you were there, of course,
Oh dear.
corruption was something that a lot of people were saying maybe there was more you could have done. They just thought there was more you could have done. And it brings me to the question of your level of support for people. Some have said that when you believe in somebody, no matter what happens, you stick with that person. And the question is, what gives you that resolve to hang on to people against all odds?
You just can't say such a person is corrupt. He has 5 cars when he should have only 1. He has 5 houses when he should have only 1. And he has so many girlfriends or so many wives. But what have you done to stop it? Is it not part of your role or your duty as a citizen to make sure that if you see somebody who is really corrupt, to blow the whistle? Why don't you have the courage to blow the whistle? To say, look, you are only treasurer for local government. How do you manage to build that house? He didn't build the house in the air. He built it somewhere, either in his village or he went to Abuja, bought land and built it. But really, you are asking very, very difficult questions.
But you've been giving us very good answers. I mean, because you see, one other thing is that Nigerians think that, oh, he doesn't talk to us. We want to hear him talk. And this is coming from, I mean, millions of people who like to listen to your talk. This is one opportunity for you to also talk to them. And that brings me to the next question of your style of governance, which mostly was, you know, you just act. You don't talk much in the eye of Nigerians.
Nigerians should be reflecting on the positive things we achieved and we did, instead of always seeing the wrong side of our performances.
Okay, so there was this impression that is an impression out there, and it's a good opportunity for you to just, you know, address it. There was this impression that your administration was hijacked by some cabals. In fact, the word cabal became so popular during these last 8 years. Was it a figment of imagination of Nigerians, or was there something? Do you really feel that your government was hijacked in any way?
It must have been. Otherwise, why didn't they talk? Why didn't they said it? What to the people they think they form themselves into a cabal and they are so important that they are not being questioned. What did they do about it? Don't they have a role as Nigerians if things are being done by government?
Did you feel it?
No, because I don't deliberately allow anybody to misuse public resources for himself or for me. I didn't allow it. I can't act on what I don't know. I couldn't have acted on what I didn't know. But if people know and they decide to sit on their knowledge and refuse to, they are part of the problem then. They are part of the problem.
But now in hindsight, did you even in any way, by the stretch of the imagination, did you see anyone who would have been like a possible cabal in your time in government?
No, cabal. Nobody was above the law, and I don't have any evidence of anybody doing anything wrong and being allowed to walk away. No.
And speaking of walking away, would you say you carried out justice in terms of, meting out punitive measures to those who fell off the road in your government?
Yes. We had a system. If people found out that a certain permanent secretary or a certain minister was using his office and they decided to keep quiet, is a problem. They are not playing their role as Nigerians. They should help Nigeria by exposing. How many ministers do I have that serve with me throughout the 8 years? Look at the Minister of Works and Housing. Works and Housing for 8 years. Nobody ever reported that he has given himself a plot or his in-law or his son and so on. Look at the Minister of Aviation. You can say the Minister of Aviation is from my own state, from Kaduna. But the Minister of Works and Housing is from Lagos.
But now that you have mentioned the Minister of Aviation, there was also this issue of the Nigerian Ethiopia arrangement that obviously may have gone in smoke because we were expecting Air Nigeria to bet, but for some reason, it's gone into the box of speculation.
Well, if I have any major shortcoming that I admit, is allowing people to do their job. If you are Ministry of Finance, Minister, look at the Minister of Finance. You allow her to go because she is a lady like you. You didn't you ask her why there wasn't much money in circulation? I never interfered. I allowed people to do their job as I understand it. But if there is any evidence on anything, I move in. I wouldn't allow it until the damage is done. I don't allow it.
In the first months of your administration, you came out to say you have never been this ill. What really was the problem?
I think only my doctor can honestly answer that question.
So what was it? Because before you came in, you were okay, you were moving around, everything was okay and all of that. But once you got in there for the first 6 months, it would seem, it took you some time to really stand on your feet and say, okay, yes, I'm here to lead.
Yes, Nigeria's problem is more than what I expected.
We were working within a time frame, and I'm already getting some signals
to leave
from
me alone.
to leave.
Yes. I agree with them.
To leave you alone. And so, in hindsight, when you look back, every day you sit down, you reflect on what you've done, what you should have done, what you shouldn't have done. In hindsight, what would you say are the things you would have done differently if you were given same opportunity to rule this country?
Under the same system, multi-party democratic system, there wasn't much I could do differently because everything is virtually, we have picked a system from successful developed countries. United States, Europe, successful. Okay, the Chinese have succeeded. And I will digress here by telling you a story that I experienced. I did my staff college in India. And one of the students was telling us a story. In 1964, there was a skirmish between Chinese and the Indians on the Himalayas, on their border. The Indians, conventionally trained by the British like us, they prepared their defense facing China. And then the officers, one of the officers, they will hear taps on their shoulders. When they look over, they will see a Chinese. How he got round there, they couldn't imagine. They took them to China. Officers, only officers, they left the other. They took them round China. First they asked them, tell us any book that has been published anywhere in the world that you wanted to read. They brought them the books, somehow. They took them round on a tour. They came back, they say, okay, when we are going around, have you seen anybody hanging around doing nothing on the street? They say no. Have you seen anybody begging for food? They say no. Have you seen anybody not employed on the farm or in the factory? They say, okay, go and do your democracy and we will do our socialism. Well, those officers who are returned to India, most of them were retired because they would say, if it were in China, they would do it this way. So really, Nigerians have been spoiled by a multi-party democratic system. They wanted to do what they wanted to do and get away with it. You can't have your cake and eat it. This is what it is like.
I know that. And that is why I was asking if there's something that, before now you were scrambling to get in there. You got in there. Now you've seen it. You've seen the room. You've seen everything about it. If given another opportunity, would you have made all this effort you made to go in there to do what you did? Or would you have done it differently?
No, I wouldn't.
I beg your pardon, sir?
I wouldn't do anything differently because I try to do it through the system. I try to follow the Constitution because I swear by the Holy Quran. And that's to be accountable for your actions as a leader. And that's no joke in Nigeria. Whether you do well or badly, they will keep on abusing you until you leave office.
It would be okay for us to talk about, have this conversation without looking at that Ruger policy. You really pushed hard for it. What was your dream? What was your vision for Ruger?
Well, I think first I would say I'm a product of Ruger. I understand it. My problem is, I think it is not scientific in the sense that whatever system you want for this country, you have to look at the population explosion. I could recall this area using to belong to us. I tried to walk, and unfortunately I was identified by some people. I tried to walk. All this area has been built up. Some time ago, as old as this country was, when you come to the western gate of our country, you can see our house. My grandparents did not buy it. They were not given. It was bush, they cut it. But look at it now. So really, the population explosion, the size of Nigeria, I hope it will not be a threat to its stability.
Even after retirement, it will seem your job is not done with Nigerians because you still have people coming in here to pay homage to you. And that's like, you being like a guiding light to some people. How awake are you to that responsibility of being a mentor to politicians and Nigerians alike?
Well, I'm very surprised you asked this question because I too am harassed. People from Maiduguri, people from Bauchi, they would get together, collect money, hire a bus and come and meet me here. I thought I was as far away from Abuja as humanly possible. But then I'm telling you, people are still coming. On daily basis, people are still coming.
So it means you're not retired?
I think if the border was not closed, I would have moved to Nigeria.
What is a working relationship within you and party members?
I think I have been in the system, Nigerian system, political system, to understand that the leadership of the party is very important. So the National Working Committee of the party, I virtually presided over the election of the members. Not that I know them personally, but their institutions, their bases, supported them. And that's what you need for a political party system. Get those that represent their constituencies are trusted by their constituencies. And then the party itself, the chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adam, I really try to work hard for him to be the chairman of the party because he was a 2-time governor from his state, and this is no joke under our system, and then a senator. I know age was not on his side, but then the experience he had in being a 2-time governor from his state in Nigeria, a 2-time governor, and then to come to the Senate. This means he earned the confidence of his constituency, which is good. They continue to be in charge of their party. I'm continuing to enjoy my retirement. Thank you.
On a final note, you tapped on the chair when you were leaving. I watched that clip many, many times. When you were leaving the office, you did that to your chair. What was the significance of that tap on that chair?
Goodbye.
And so on that note, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope we didn't harass you too much.
You did. You did. Thank you.
Oh. There's this, human aspect of you that a lot of Nigerians do not know. They see you as a very tough man who has no, blood flowing through your veins. But as it is seen, you are as normal and as lively, as friendly as anybody would imagine. And I want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, to ask you these questions on behalf of Nigerians.
Thank you very much.
And so on that note, I want to say thank you so much for being part of this week's edition of Conversation with History. Until next time, when we come up with another blockbuster, be kind to one another and stay well. Yes. But I'm supposed to be very harmless, sir.
Go on.